right. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you guys can hear us. If somebody can just give us a yes in the chat box, that would be great. Awesome. All right, good morning and welcome to the NCRAN webinar series. This is the first Friday of March, and so today my coworker Molly Hofer and I are going to do Wits Workout. My name is Chelsey Byers Gerstenecker from U of I Extension, and today I have with me my colleague Molly Hofer. Our program, Wits Workout, is a new curriculum that was developed by Molly and I, and it's a program that we're proud of, but I'm just going to kind of toss it right over to Molly. Well, before I get started, I should say a little bit about NCRAN. Is anybody today new to the NCRAN webinars? Anybody new to the NCRAN webinars? Oh, welcome. So if you're new to the NCRAN webinars, I am just going to quickly slide. Can you see my screen, Molly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so if you're new to the NCRAN webinars, we have all of our archived webinars on our NCRAN website. And if you go to the webinars, ncran.org, and just click on webinars and go to the archived webinars, you can watch our past webinars. You can just click and watch any of the past webinars. And then if you do watch one of our past webinars, if you'd be so kind to also click on the evaluation and take the evaluation. We do appreciate people's feedback. So, and that goes for anybody who is not new for our webinars, just a little education about that, as well as we do have wonderful information at our programs and resources. We do know we have a couple dead links. We are in the process of fixing those. So we are in the process of reviewing our website right now. So just wanted to share that with everybody before we get started. So anyway, Molly and I are family life educators with U of I Extension. Together we have over, gosh, I don't even know how many years, but we've been teaching them, each have been teaching about brain health for over 15 years each. And we love the topic of brain health. Illinois is known for their brain health programs. And because people have wanted more and more about brain health, that's how this has kind of come into fruition. But I'm going to let Molly talk more about that.
Thanks, Chelsey. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to talk with you today. I thought I would give a little bit of background on the whys, why we do what we do, and I'm sure that our whys are very similar to your whys. We do know that today's older adults are living longer, relatively healthier lives than generations before them. And even though our older adults are living longer, about 80% are living with at least one chronic health condition, and many live with more than one. So concerns about aging, concerns about what happens to me, my body, my mind as I age, become increasingly important. Concerns about memory loss, dementia, as we know, as we grow older, those are some things that come to the forefront of our minds that maybe we didn't think about prior. So as educators, as family life educators in Illinois, we identified that there continues to be a need for adults to know more about the aging process, including memory and aging. So as Chelsey mentioned, back around 2003, 2004, we started teaching about memory and aging. We gave our first offering in that area around that time. And since then, we have developed more than 6 curricula on the topic of memory and aging, some of them expounding on each other, where they can stand alone or expound on each other. And most recently, over the last few years, we have a 3-part series called Brain Health, It's a No-Brainer, that we've been using statewide with our 5 educators on the family life team, 5 to 6 over the past course of a few years. And with that, we have reached more than 17,000 people over the last few years. So it is and continues to be a very requested, important topic. At the same time, I work in the Chicagoland area. I cover Chicago and suburbs. At the same time, my county director asked me to be part of an interdisciplinary team to offer ongoing programming to a community group of older adults in an ongoing way as far as a dosage effective learning. So I had to bring to the table family life programs 1, 2, 3 times a month to the same group of older adults in this older adult model that we were following. And I decided at that time, since we were teaching about brain health, it was a very popular topic, that I would offer twice a month brain engagement classes. And I started doing that in 2011. It still continues today, twice a month. But from that experience, and with other family life educators then replicating that experience in their own areas of the state, we decided that if we're doing this, why can't anybody do this? And it wasn't just a brain engagement activities-based program or class that participants were taking part in. Every single time we met, we talk about an educational component related to memory and aging. So that is how Wits Workout is laid out. It comes to us from that experience of us teaching in an ongoing way brain engagement classes. But before we get into Wits Workout, I thought that I would lay the foundation. Even though I know I'm preaching to the choir, I thought I would lay the foundation by talking about definitions and concepts related to memory, aging, and the brain. Some of the things that we do talk about in a conversational way in the curriculum. So as far as our objectives over the next little while, that is exactly where we're going to start. I'm going to talk about different types of memory and lifestyle choices that are good for the brain and body. Those are our main research-based concepts that are introduced into the curriculum. And then Chelsey will take over and talk about Wits Workout itself, the curriculum itself. So as far as the types of memory that we introduce in the curriculum and talk about often, short-term memory and working memory is part of that, long-term memory, and then various types of long-term memory, as you see on the screen, implicit or procedural, explicit, broken down to semantic, episodic, and then prospective memory. As far as short-term memory, we know that short-term memory is also equated to conscious thought. Whatever we're thinking about at any given time, we know its storage space is very limited. Information stays there briefly. It is essentially our thoughts, our conscious thoughts. And information is very temporary in short-term memory and may not be remembered later unless it is transferred or encoded into long-term memory. Working memory is when we utilize information in short-term memory and manipulate it or calculate in some way. So if we were shopping and we were looking at jeans that were on sale and the jeans were $40 but 30% off, when we're calculating that information, oh, well, what is the price of those jeans? We are utilizing our working memory, manipulating information in our short-term memory. If I asked you to put into alphabetical order the seasons, fall, summer, winter, spring, by you doing so, you're manipulating that information in short-term memory. That is your working memory. As far as long-term memory, we talk specifically about procedural and declarative types of, as well as prospective memory. As far as implicit or procedural memory, we talk to our participants about procedural memory as almost an autopilot kind of memory. It's a nonverbal body type of memory. In essence, it is us on autopilot. It is what we do with our bodies without necessarily thinking about it, as far as taking a shower, washing ourselves in the shower, driving the car, using a pen, drinking a glass of water. And procedural memory is a wonderful saving grace for all of us because we can do without thinking. But sometimes we do have procedural memory I'm not necessarily going to call it a fail, but sometimes we have procedural memory hiccups where we wonder if we've done something because it does come so naturally to us. Like, did I close the garage door, or did I lock the car when I came into the shopping mall? As far as explicit memory, that is a long-term memory that's brought forth typically in words, declarative memory. And there are two types of explicit memory, long-term memory, semantic and episodic. Semantic long-term memory is knowledge. It is information that we learn. So our multiplication tables, knowing that Abraham Lincoln was a United States president, knowing the name of your next door neighbor, semantic memory. Episodic memory, if we think in terms of episodic memories, you see the root word of episodic, or you know the root word of episodic is episode. So we like to talk about episodic memory as those personally experienced chapters of our lives, things that we have to talk about that we are tied in some way or can talk about from a personal perspective. And it can be something as mundane as, Chelsey, before everyone got on, Chelsey and I were talking about what we had for breakfast this morning. Giving me the story of your childhood bedroom is a good example of episodic memory. And we do know that long-term memory storage space is limitless. I talked about limited short-term memory storage space. Long-term memory storage space is limitless, but even though it is so, and it is memory that is stored across all parts of, or many parts of the brain, even though it is limitless, some of those long-term memories or some of our memories can fade over time. And we certainly have all said, oh, I don't really remember it as vividly as you do if we experienced something at the same time as, let's say, a sibling. A good example of this, as far as celebrating your birthdays, I've celebrated 57 birthdays. I'm 57 years old, but I cannot tell you that every single birthday stands out vividly in my mind. Many have just kind of rolled together, but some birthdays will stand out and I will remember them. My 25th birthday, for instance, stands out, and my 50th birthday. But that's a good example of episodic memories that can fade over time. And then we have prospective memory. Prospective memory is memory for future events or activities. And I like to tell my participants it's not forgetting to remember something that you want to do. Prospective memories can be time-based. Let's say I want to take the cake out of the oven in 30 minutes. Prospective memory can be event-based. I may be driving back from the grocery store and I'm about to pass the post office when I remember I have to mail a letter. Prospective memory is remembering to do something in the future, remembering to say something in the future. And sometimes we do have prospective memory fails. There's so much that we need to remember in our daily lives or that we put on ourselves, oh, I can't forget to do that, that sometimes we do have memory fails. We may say that we'll call our sister at 8 o'clock tonight. We may even pronounce it at dinner time. Oh, I'm going to give her a call at 8 o'clock, and then we forget. Some prospective memory fails are absolutely harmless, like that, or forgetting to return the library book. But some prospective memory fails can be harmful. Turning on the stove and forgetting to turn it off, or when I was reading journal articles about this, one researcher gave the terrible example of a parent who forgets that she was the one to take the child to daycare and leaves a baby in the car. So some prospective memory fails can be absolutely harmful. So we do talk over the course of Wits Workout about various aspects of short, long-term memories. And then we also, a big part of our curriculum is to talk about lifestyle contributing factors to brain health. And these are the 6 factors that we talk about once and again in our curriculum. And we do know from a research perspective that brains do benefit from these things. And I'm not going to belabor all of these, but because I know that you probably know this information, but we talk about sleep from the perspective of everyone needing 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night as optimal for optimal benefit. And the reality is people will talk to us about their problems with sleep. My sleep is intermittent. My sleep is fragmented. I get up every night around 1 o'clock and I'm up for a little while. And so we talk about those aspects of sleep, but we try to talk about good sleep hygiene too, as far as what you can do perhaps to change some of your sleep habits to help you get a better sleep. And we also talk about a healthy diet. In essence, we talk about a heart healthy diet as a brain healthy diet. Lean proteins, low fat dairy, vegetables, fruits, water, limited salt, sugar, good healthy fats, whole grains, those kinds of things. We introduce that concept. A heart healthy diet is a brain healthy diet. Exercise. We have had considerable research coming from our own University of Illinois campus in the area of exercise and brain health from Dr. Art Kramer. He was director of our Beckman Institute. He has since moved on to Northeastern University, but while he was with us, and I'm sure still, is researching exercise in older adults and cognitive health. And in his research and in other research, we also know that the Global Council on Brain Health also talks about aerobic forms of exercise as especially beneficial for brain health. We know that current recommendations are 150 minutes each week of aerobic forms of exercise, and we talk about trying to increase the amount of movement in our participants. Stress management. We all have stress in our lives. We do need some stress in our lives because some stress motivates us to take action. We've all had sweaty palms before we were to do something very important or even very dreaded. So we know what stress feels like as far as motivating stress to help us to take action. But too much stress or prolonged stress is not good for anyone. So we talk about how to manage our stress. As far as these first 4 contributing factors, we do also always stress that if our participants are having difficulty in any of these 4 areas, it's very important that they talk with their healthcare professionals about what they can do specifically to help manage or better their situations. The last 2 bullets you see here are social connections and intellectual challenge. And really, these 2 bullets are what Wits Workout is all about, because Wits Workout is a curriculum to bring people together. So we do want to help increase social connections among the populations coming together to take part in this endeavor. And as far as intellectual challenge, it is an activities-based curriculum. It is a brain engagement-based curriculum. So we are also hoping that by participating in Wits Workout, there is challenge there for our participants. Okay, Chelsey? This is the cover of Wits Workout. You see we've titled it Wits Workout, an engaging, interactive, and educational brain health program. It is a facilitator's guide. It has been peer reviewed by, and if you can see the slide here on the left, Dr. Erin Yelland. I know many, if not all of you, are very familiar with Erin. She was gracious in peer reviewing our curriculum. She is assistant professor and extension specialist out of Kansas State University. And our own Kelsey Hassefort, she is a postdoctoral research associate with our Beckman Institute, University of Illinois here in Urbana-Champaign, our state. They gave us wonderful tips and ideas for strengthening our curriculum as they reviewed it. So it has been peer reviewed, pilot tested for over 2 years, not only in my area of the state, but across the state. by our educators and by others that that helped us in introducing the curriculum to their audiences, their populations. I would like to specifically thank Age Options. Age Options is our suburban Cook County area agency on aging in Illinois. And you may already know this, I believe it's national, N4A, the National Area Agencies on Aging, the Association of, have had over the last couple of years a thrust or a mission of working to reduce social isolation in the older population. And Age Options knew that we were working on this curriculum, and because it so directly coincides with their thrust is, they offered us a stipend to help support the development of this curriculum. So I would like to acknowledge that, and it has been a marvelous partnership in getting the curriculum produced. The curriculum was written by Chelsey Byers and myself, along with Kara Allen, who did a lot of early work with us. Kara has now since retired. She was a family life educator in Illinois for several years. This model does serve a need in increasing socialization, reducing isolation, and promoting intellectual engagement in our older participants, all of which do, as I just mentioned, complement our aging brain health research. It is our hope that Wits Workout will assist leaders in helping their participants adopt these long-term health promoting behaviors through ongoing attendance, through ongoing social and intellectual participation. So with that, I will turn it over to Chelsey, who will get into the nuts and bolts of the curriculum.
All right, thanks Molly for kind of setting the foundation for it. So here you can see the 24 sessions. So there are 24 individual sessions, and they each have a theme. So on the left-hand side of the contents page, you can kind of see the theme we gave them. And then on the right, you can kind of see the training component. We developed 12 kind of training components, and then we ran through those 12 training components kind of twice. So no matter where somebody would join the class, they would hopefully then catch at least something once, we would hope, because we know that, you know, when we do deliver any kind of series or community education program, a lot of times people are popping in and out. They don't make it to everything. But we're hoping that with kind of repetitiveness also, for those who do make it, then they can hear things multiple times. So with a little bit of different twist on things. One thing is, we also wanted to kind of give some leaders tips. With these sessions, you know, they could last anywhere from, 60 to 90 minutes, depending on if people utilize all the activities in the sessions or send people home with a session as one that they could take home with them. The activities are kind of built where you could do them. Some of them are more built for like group engagement or partnering or kind of group work. So it's kind of depending on, knowing your group, modifying it to meet the needs of the group you're working with. Sessions do not have to be in offered in any kind of order or use. There's no rhyme or reason, to how we laid them out. We just kind of put them in what we thought kind of made sense, but you could lead them however you want it to. We do share a lot of information on things like what is short-term memory, long-term memory recall, how it changes as we get older. Because that's a question we get a lot in our brain health classes is, is this normal? Is this normal for aging? Should I be concerned? So reasons why we forget, tips and techniques for those everyday forgetfulness, or what we call benign forgetfulness. We cover those brain health contributors that Molly just went over. We talk about what we can do or should do to maintain that brain health. So now I want to go to some leaders tips to help leaders. So if you ever lead a class like this, these are just some things to think about. Oftentimes it's the leader that can really make a group go well, I think. It's good for us as a leader to provide structure for the group, create that and comfortable environment, letting participants know that it's okay not to know the answers or to have the wrong answers. Some of the activities can be a little challenging. We did that on purpose. We want to challenge people, but you know, some of them are much easier. So not everybody's going to have all the answers. Some of the activities, if you're really good with trivia, you're going to be really good at that activity, or if you're better with geography or music. So some people are going to find their natural preferences in some of the activities, but they're good for everybody. So we kind of always give a little disclaimer when we do some of these activities that, you know, if you don't like this activity, that's okay. You're probably going to like the next one. And that's just kind of a normal activity-based programming. Encourage participation by helping participants understand that their input is always appreciated. Sometimes participants like to just, you know, holler out responses. So depending on how you want to manage that, if it's just open answer or you really want people to work on it at their own pace first and then take answers. You know, encourage ongoing attendance. Have it maybe at a scheduled time that meets, you know, once a month or every 2 weeks or whatever works for you. Making sure like the room is arranged so everybody can see each other for better socialization. You know, those are just some things that we think will help you as a facilitator, as well as to kind of create that comfortable environment for participants. We do want to encourage that they, you know, meet new people through this process, to make friends, to reach out maybe to somebody they don't know in this class, as well as to reach out to friends who are more isolated or homebound, or to bring activities to somebody else who can't get out to these classes. Again, we're trying to fight that isolation and increase socialization. The sessions are laid out. I'm going to flip this slide here. The sessions are laid out kind of in a workout format. So there's a warm up, and really that's a way for everybody to introduce themselves. And then there's an activity that's what we call the stretching. And there's these little icons. You can see there's a little warm up icon, a little stretching icon. And then you get to the training component. And the training component is that educational component. And then that's the kind of the little leader educational piece where it's written in a conversational manner. So you don't have to have any background in brain health. We wrote them, so anybody can pick this up and lead these activities and read this section and not feel like it's, you know, over their head. We want it so you can just kind of read it to your group, and you would feel comfortable with it. We gave all of our references are in there, but we would like you to be, you know, read it before you go in front of your group so you are comfortable with it. We would suggest that. And then after the training component, and we kept them quite short because we know people will be there probably for the activities, but we are trying to infuse the education piece while they're there. Then again, we have more workouts, and then the cool down could be one that you send home with people, or if time allows, you could do it in the class period. So there's plenty of activities in each section, or what some people have done is they just take the activities and they add them to other programs. So you're just infusing a little brain workout in other educational activities that they want to do. So they kind of are taking the activities as an add-on to add a little brain activity here and there. You know, it's meant to be novel, fun, interactive. I mentioned earlier some of the activities are a little harder than others. The time limits on the sides are kind of, you know, kind of a guesstimate depending on the group. Don't hold hard and fast to those times. Modifications, of course, can be made for your group. Just use your best judgment on your group's abilities. The guide is equipped with printable handouts. I'm going to show you what those look like. Each time there is a activity, there will be a handout and then a leader's answer sheet. So if there's possible answers or if there's actual answers, you will have both. So you won't have to come up with possible answers. We gave you possible answers, so you don't have to think of those in case you need to get your group started. So we try to make this as user-friendly as possible for any leader. Everything is right there in the book, so you don't have to hunt for anything. It's the participant handout and then the leader handout. It just kind of follows in a nice flow. So we wanted to try some of these with everybody. So if you have any paper handy, I'll let everybody get a chance to find a scrap paper or a notepad. And we're gonna do a couple of these activities with you all. And this one that we have up today is called The Comforts of Home. And this training component is on recall. And so all the activities in this section, the focus of the activities are kind of on recall, except for, well, I guess, yeah, they are all on recall. And so this one, the component talks about the importance of recall in it. And then with workout 1, what's in the kitchen? So the first activity says brainstorm as many phrases with the word home or house in them as you can. So this one don't do on a sheet of paper. We'll just let people throw some in the chat box real quick. Phrases with home or house. Housework, homemaker, homework, home sweet home, home buyer, home sweet home, there's no place like home, homecoming, homemade, oh now I want cookies. Home is where the heart is. Housekeeping. Dog house. Let's get 2 more. House arrest. 1 more. Challenging you guys today. Home alone, homecoming. All right. So here we just threw out a whole bunch of sayings that people could possibly throw out there, but it does get people being social, it gets people talking. It probably will trigger some memories, especially when people have those sayings that they heard growing up. So it does get people sharing, and that's a great thing. So the next activity I am going to have you try to do, if you want to write down number a sheet of paper from 1 to 20. This one's a little tougher. So write the numbers 1 to 20 on a sheet of paper. And what you're going to do is you're going to unscramble the words to identify common kitchen items. So these are items that you would find in your kitchen. So give this a shot. I'm going to give you just a couple minutes to see how you do. If you get stuck on one, just keep moving down the list and see how you do. Okay, so for time's sake, if you have the answer for number 1, go ahead and write it in the box. Anybody solve number 1? Spatula, you're correct. Number 2. Thermometer. Number 3. Colander. Number 4. Whisk. Good job. Number 5. Good job. Masher. Number 6. Anybody? Grater. Number 7. Oh, that's 8. 8 is skillet. Number 7. Juicer. Okay, 8 was skillet. Number 9. Nine was saucepan. Number 10. You might not have gotten this far. Maybe for time's sake, because I didn't give you enough time. All right, I'm going to show you the answers. But given enough time in a group, that's why that you would have a good hour, hour and a half to do a class. You'd want to give people plenty of time. But you guys did awesome for the time I gave you, because I did not give you very much time. But you can see that it does give your brain a little workout, right? I don't know the last time I did a word scramble, to be honest with you. Awesome. Somebody said that was fun. Great. All right. So this next one, this one's a little harder to explain, but because you get to see it here, I'm glad. So what I want you to do is, if you look at the very bottom section, we're going to build a ladder. It's called a house ladder. So when you look at the first clue, the dwelling where you were raised, so you're going to answer that question next to the word down. So you put it on the right of the word down, and then you also put it next to number 2. So you put it next to number 2, and then you answer the opposite of back goes over to the right. And then you put it on the right-hand side of number 2, and then also you ladder it down to number 3.
So do number 1 together, Chelsey.
Okay. So what is the dwelling where you were raised?
The answer is home.
Home. So you're going to write down home. So you're trying to write things that go together, words that should make up a compound word or phrase. So the first compound is down home. And then you put the word home next to 2. So the opposite of back is, somebody want to write that one? Front. So home, front. So now write front on 3, and I'm going to let you continue. Thanks, Mal.
Sure. Sure.
You're trying to create compound words.
It looks like Ruth has finished her house ladder.
Give it a little bit more time. Another person has finished. All right, so we have down home, home front, the physical action needed to move a boat. Row. All right, so then we have front row. We've put row down. So the next one is, when you are in trouble, one might say you are in the dog house. So then we have row house. We move house down. When you put this on when you go outside in winter. Coat, house, coat. Coat moves down to 6. And one section of a home is a room. So you have a coat room, and then room moves down, and you have a room mate. So that is how you work a word ladder. So you guys all succeeded. So yes, it's a little overwhelming at first once you accomplish the instructions better than I gave them. That is
Fine.
that is how you do that. And so it's a lot of fun. It gives you a little thought process, and then you kind of solve the puzzle. Let's see. We have, yeah, we can do the next one. Okay, we can do the next one together. This one is called house play. Recall as many compound words as you can with the word house. So you guys can just throw them in. We made up, Ruth asked, what's your source for word ladders? We made it up. All of our activities we made up. Molly and I created on our own.
Yeah, every activity in the entire 24 session manual is organic to us.
Yeah, this 264 pages of love is from Molly and I. We spent many a days together creating activities, and they were piloted. We did have to scrap a couple activities that didn't fly in the groups, and we tested the activities in both rural and urban, suburban areas to make sure they would kind of fly in different areas. And so we did have to scrap, what, 3?
Yeah, about 3.
I think 3. And go back to the drawing board on 3 of them. So, but they have been pilot tested. So
I pilot tested every session with my mainstay Wits Fitness group that I talked about in the beginning. And I had a participant in my group that with every activity, she'd say either, I love you, Molly, or I hate you, Molly.
when they're a little harder.
That was the barometer. But she would say that jokingly, you know, that one caused her to think a lot. But she would seriously tell me if one just didn't seem, you know, seemed confusing or whatever. So we definitely heeded the suggestions of our audiences when we were pilot testing this.
Yeah. And so this one is called House Play, and we did this one, again, focuses on recall, so thinking as many compound words as you can with the word house.
That either start with house or end with house.
Yeah, so you can put house on either side, like bird house or house plant. So you guys can just throw a couple out there, and we'll talk a little bit more. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Somebody says it's hard to read with the, yeah, how little the print is. I'm glad you figured out how to zoom in. Sorry about that.
The actual handouts themselves are much different than this.
Yeah, and I can show that in a minute. Townhouse, house plant. Housekeeping. Playhouse.
Fabulous.
Housekeeper. While you guys are thinking, I'm going to put my video on. Ooh, ah. It's our video. So this is what the manual looks like, and I think you can see here.
We have 2 ways of purchasing the curriculum. One is the spiral-bound manual that Chelsey is holding up.
The print is pretty big, though, when you're in it, just so you know, like the answers and stuff.
We did pay attention to all white paper, white space, font size. It is available in a spiral-bound format as well as thumb drive format.
There's some math in here. There's some trying to take certain letter sections where you have to make words. There's mazes. There's matching. There's some amaze. There's word searches. There's an evil word search in here. I mean, it's lovely, but
yeah, it is evil as far as trying to find the answers.
there's crossword puzzles.
Every activity is either pen to paper, or discussion. And even the pen to paper activities can be turned into discussion depending on the needs and the abilities of the group. We did not try to create a guide where the facilitator would have to gather information or gather materials, because we wanted to make it as simple as possible for the facilitator.
There's one on birds. How well do you know birds? That's kind of a fun one. I like that one.
Chelsey mentioned that there was a warm-up activity. We have a warm-up specifically at the beginning of every session that is a purposeful icebreaker, because name recognition, especially name and face recognition over time for the group, we thought was very important. So there is a question to ask that starts off every session as an icebreaker.
And some of them might be hard, or people might not know, but then they learn something. So we figured that that was okay too. Then it was just educational if they didn't know the answer. So we were okay with that. So, ooh, somebody got real busy. Housewife, house husband, outhouse, household, housewarm, housewarming. Yeah, so we gave a whole bunch of suggestions in there, but of course there's plenty of other ones. So yeah, as Molly said, the icebreaker is always about introducing people, because we want people to meet people and make new friends as they go along. If anybody's interested, you can reach out to Molly or I. Otherwise, if you want to, we try to make this super inexpensive for people. We'd rather see people use it. It's really about the cost of the curriculum more than anything. So it's only $75, and then to ship it. If you get the printed one, it's pretty hefty, so it's $10 to ship. The USB drive's only $5 to ship, or if you get both the manual and the USB, we did a combo price of $115, and so a little discounted price there. So if anybody's interested in that, let us know, or I can put it in the box, I guess.
The handouts are meant to be duplicated. They are printable handouts, so even with the spiral bound format, they sit easily on a copy machine for duplication. And of course, the thumb drive, they can be duplicated very cleanly. Of course, the curriculum is copywritten, but it is designed to be utilized by senior centers and retirement villages, any place where community or older adults living can come together to learn from and share with each other.
Yes, and we will take questions. So I have a little commercial up here about next month's NCRAN webinar on April 3rd. It's the most rewarding and difficult job caregivers experiences with system navigation. And my colleague Kristen Linselman from University of Wisconsin-Madison will be presenting that webinar. So hopefully you guys can join again next month on April 3rd. But Molly and I will open it to questions about Wits Workout, anything we said today, the curriculum, leading the curriculum, anything. Do you have marketing materials created? We do have marketing materials created. So if you order the curriculum, we can email you those too. We have logos that we share. We have a marketing flyer that has space for you just to put in your information, like when you're hosting the program and all that information, as well as space for a logo, for your local logo. That is all created, yes. So. We are in the process of doing a formal evaluation. We're actually in the process of writing a grant to do a big evaluation on it right now. We're keeping, let's see, we have everybody's contact information who's been ordering it. So once we formalize the evaluation, we will be sending them out. And we will ask if people are willing to do evaluations, but since we don't have that formalized yet, not currently for doing, we're not doing evaluations yet from other states, but good question, Christy.
We are working with 3 professors on campus and helping to demonstrate evidence for this curriculum.
Yeah.
The curriculum has only been available since around the 1st of August. We had it, the printing was finished, it was produced and printed. So Chelsey and I presented at the Illinois Recreation Therapy Association conference thus far, and we are also presenting in 2 weeks at American Society on Aging's Aging in America conference. So we are really in the very beginning stages of introducing the curriculum, but we are working very diligently about getting it to demonstrate programmatic evidence. Hopefully, that is our goal.
Sorry that I have my video on, but my chat box is over here, so you don't see me.
We've also been in discussion with our IT department and web development department about eventually turning this curriculum into an online self-paced module. Where, yes, it does defeat the purpose of our socialization component, which we find very, very important, but we also find that it can be a self-paced module that people who are at home can participate in brain engagement. So we are in the process of very early stages of talking about that with our web development team.
Thank you very much, Karen. If anybody wants to email me about marketing materials, we do ask that nobody puts this information on their websites as far as the handouts. So please do not scan the handouts into PDFs and put them up on your websites. It is our copywritten information, so you can copy them for your programs and that kind of thing, but please don't throw them like for open access online or anything like that. So we do appreciate that. So if you guys will just email me for the marketing information, that would be easier for me to just shoot that out. How many sessions do we recommend? You know, the more the better for dose effect, dosage
effective learning.
Yes. Yeah. So, but you know, you could break it up into segments if you're trying to be manageable with somebody's schedule. You know, if you did it once a month, this would last you 2 years. The curriculum would last 2 years. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be all concentrated in a short time. Or you could do, you know, sessions, like do 8-week sessions and do it, you know, 3 sessions of it. So, I mean, it's however you want to do it.
You can do fall and spring, you know, where a lot of our programming is most popular with older adults. You know, winter months in our climate can be harder as far as older adults coming together, but it's also, you know, it can be done in any way you want. The themed sessions do not have to be done in order, as I believe Chelsey mentioned. You can skip around. There really is no right way to do this or a wrong way to do this.
Yeah, you could do 6, 6, 6, 6. You know, you could do like 4 sessions of 6. Fee, we have not gone into the fee, but not to say that we wouldn't be moving in that direction. I mean, I think.
Right. In Illinois, we have not charged for any of these, mainly because the program that I started, Wits Fitness, you know, as far as this concept, it was an extension, organic program for extension. In other words, we didn't do the programming in other parts. We weren't guest speakers at a senior center. It was an organic program for extension. So the older adults came to our unit, our offices for participation. So it was a free program. It doesn't mean that it has to be a free program.
Right. Again, I'm going to throw up the evaluation for today. I'm going to make sure it opens now that I said that. Yeah, it opens. Make sure it's good. If everybody will fill out the evaluation, we would appreciate that. Again,